Well, good evening, everybody. Good evening, everybody. Good evening, and good evening. One more go again. We have a great broadcast lineup for you this evening. We have a great. This is a real man being men. We have what we call a four square conversation. Four square conversation. We're gonna go around and give everybody an opportunity to introduce themselves before we get started in the topic. I think we have some good topics tonight. That's going to stir up a few things. They're gonna stir up a few things and shake up the water, if you will, just a tad bit. Don, yes, sir, Sheet. I see you over there, Don Sherrod. Tell everybody who you are and where you're dealing from.
How you doing? I'm Don Sherrod. I'm a minister and a musician, and I have come to be here tonight. Glad to be here. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia, the homes of the Braves, anyway.
Oh Lord, look, we ain't gonna talk about it. We're not even gonna talk about that, brother, because that's not a good topic right now. There's not a good topic. Let's go to Pastor. Tell everybody who you are and where you're hailing from.
All right, I'm Pastor Brown. I'm from McDonough, Georgia, Tabernacle of Worship. Church is in Morrow, Georgia, and just excited to be with you all tonight.
Good deal, good deal. She.
What up, though? I'm Rashid calling from the D, Detroit, Michigan. Let's go.
Good deal, good deal. Now, she, let me ask you a question, She. Who was that young man beside you right there? Who was that young man beside you? Yeah, over there. Who that is?
That's my son.
That's my son. Tell everybody about yourself, brother.
Well, hold on. That
you did it right the first time.
That
okay. You gotta point the opposite direction. The opposite direction. There you go.
Yeah.
All right. That's my dad, and I am also calling from the D, Detroit, Michigan.
There you go. You gotta say that. What up? You gotta say it. Emerson, you gotta say that. What up, though?
What up, though?
Good deal. On the phone line, we got Cornelius. Cornelius, tell everybody who you are, brother, and where you're hailing from.
This is Cornelius, originally from the D.
Oh,
Lord.
Lord.
I'm residing in Lawrenceville, Georgia. God bless you. Good to be on.
Okay, now hold on. Somebody else just came. Who was that? You say from Lawrenceville. Say it again. Now, where you from, brother? I ain't hear you.
I'm sorry, Lawrenceville, Georgia, man.
There you go. There you go. And we have Lady Grace. Lady Grace, how you doing, young lady?
I'm fine. How are you?
Good deal. Good deal. Good deal.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Yes, ma'am. Tell everybody who you are, where you're hailing from.
I'm Grace Berry Canton from Eustis, Florida.
Good deal. Good deal. Now we're about to jump into the. We got another brother just joined us. Richard, tell everybody who you are, brother, and where you're hailing from.
How you doing? I'm Richard Grace from Chicago. So
shut down. Yeah. Shut down. Gotta say it like that. Shut down. Yeah, when you say it, you gotta pull yourself back a little bit. Shut down.
Hey, you gotta shake your head a little bit too. Shut down.
Yeah, shake your head just a tad bit. Listen, we got 4 square conversations, man, and we got 4 different topics now. Now, she's gonna tell you we might not get to all of them. We might not make it to all of them. That's just how it is. That's how the cookie crumbles sometimes. But I'm gonna start off. Let me start off with let me go to Don first. Don, I'm gonna start off with you tonight, and I'm gonna ask you this question. And it's very light, but I don't know where it's gonna go. I always say that. But Don, what happened to the lions? What happened to the lions' courage? In the Wizard of Oz, what happened to the lion's courage? And second part, how would you equate that to the black man in America?
Ooh.
I
said it's gonna be light, and Don said, "Ooh."
Well, somebody else said "ooh" for me, I guess. Okay. Well, I guess the first thing top of my head is that we know the courage of the lion turned to fear, which really is the opposite of courage. And so we know that to be a fact as far as the Wizard of Oz is concerned. I don't remember the specifics as to how it happened, but it did happen. Now, as far as the black man is concerned in this country, we didn't start off we didn't necessarily start off with courage based on when we got here, because they had beat a lot of the courage out of us on the slave ship, and then after we arrived on this continent. But as time went on and we understood the game and we saw the hand of God in our lives and we got tired and all those things kind of converged at the same time, then some courage kind of started amassing. And then when we saw the backlash of what courage would do, for some people that took a lot of the courage away, but for others it strengthened them, and then a movement started. And I think we had leaders and pioneers and drum majors of courage, Dr. King and others, and Malcolm X and all that. So we lived at a time when everything was crucial. Everything counted, and so we made some of the political and economic gains that we were looking for, and then as a result, we kind of settled in Zion, and then so a lot of the courage kind of ebbed as we lost leaders. Not only Dr. King, but we lost other leaders who were kind of supporters of the cause. So I'm just trying to hash something out of my mind here, try to think as I go. But I think that has kind of helped to lead us where we are right now. There are a lot of factors. You got the home, and you got the single parent home, and what that does to masculinity and all that kind of thing. In some situations, not in all situations. There are a lot of factors, but I just kind of kick it off with that. Oops.
Wow, you said you just got to kick it off with that. When you said kick it off, did you mean you was gonna kick Raheem off? Because he gone.
Yeah, man. I knew you were ready, and the wings ready to go, man. So what I did was kick the door open so you could come on through.
There you go. Well, I've been wanting to host this thing for a while, so I'm gonna go ahead and do my Raheem impression. Good deal, good deal, good deal. Pastor Brown, what do you have to say to that? What do you have to say to that, Pastor Brown? What happened to the Lions' courage and in the black man in terms of the black man in America? And do we still have our courage? And if we don't, what happened to it?
This is an interesting question as far as when you're looking at the story as far as the Wizard of Oz. Yeah, he went through this journey to try to refine.
Lord, my Jesus.
Oh man.
Yeah, come on and jump in. Yeah. Brother Rashid, he made sure we kept moving without missing a beat.
I know Rashid jumped right back into the thing and kept it going. I say that's an OG right there. When we started, man, he was on board with us. So that's an OG salute.
Sure.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Where I missed out at?
He just brought me in to follow up on that question. And what I was starting to share, we're looking at as far as the lion, the process where he lost his courage, he didn't have courage actually, and then trying to really find himself toward the end. That's then we talk about the trying to parallel that to I guess black men in America, our courage. There's a lot to sort of unpack there. There's in many areas, people would criticize the quote unquote courage of the black man, the missing black man. And I believe there's understanding in some of that, but I believe also we speak so much of that we do miss the black men that are standing up and being accounted, that are doing the courageous fight every day, that are being the fathers, that are being the husbands, that are going on their jobs, and doing the things that they got to do and fighting that good fight every day. I think it's important that we don't get so meandered with those that are or may not be fighting that good fight and ready to point fingers at and ready to cast stones at. And instead of one acknowledging the men that are being just that, real men, and fighting and standing up, but then also let's reach back towards those brothers. Now there's some brothers they may never want to, but that's not just in the black community, that's in every community. I mentioned that because it's easy for us to denigrate our own house. You know, I think it's important that we don't do that. We acknowledge a problem and then we stand up and find a solution for that problem, and let's work together and solve the problem. But you know, if we wind up just talking about it, we wound up being just like those that criticize, who want to tear down, and that's really what their objective is. So just we have to approach it from a holistic standpoint. I think we have to look at it from all aspects. But you know, let's not forget there are many men, just like the men that are on this panel right now, who fight every day. Just like I know there are men who are listening to us right now who fight every day to do that which is righteous and do that which their father calls them to do, and to be the husbands, fathers, sons, brothers that God has called them to be.
Exactly. That's good. That's good. We're gonna keep this thing going, and I'm gonna go right now to She. What's on your heart, man? We're talking about the lion from the Wizard of Oz. How did he lose his courage, and how would you tie that in with the black man here in America?
You know, my response to your question when I first heard it was that, because it sounded like you said, what happened to the Lions?
Yes.
The Detroit Lions, I'm referring to. And
no,
you always seem to figure out a way to crack on my Lions, who won, by the way, Sunday.
Such an easy target. Such an easy target.
Yeah, such an easy target. But we did win our last game that we played.
But hold on. Y'all did win, but let me explain something to you. We have not lost yet, but that's a whole different conversation, right?
Now, when you say we, are you referring to which team? Because you jump a lot around.
I've been a Steeler since the 70s.
I know you ain't referring to that team we about to play Sunday, the Atlanta Falcons.
Oh, never. I would never go with them guys, man. No, sir. No, sir.
Yeah,
but what happened to that lion? What happened to the lion sheet? And how would you associate or tie it in with the black man here in America?
You know, the Lions kind of, in some ways, it's very similar. It kind of reminds me of the plight of the black man in America. Your Detroit Lions. We once were in a position of prominence. I don't know if you guys would remember, but back in the 50s, the Lions were actually NFL champions at one point.
50s? The
50s? That was before all of us was born.
The 50s?
That predates everybody on this panel except for Sherrod.
Was that did they even call it the Super Bowl then?
No, it was before the Super Bowl, actually. Yeah, but it was the 50s.
Look here. Yeah. I got my face like that because I smell like something stink.
Listen, that's what they told me, because I wasn't around to witness it. They told me that we won, like we used to be good. Just Emerson, like the black.
They gave you something to hold on. Emerson, they give you something to hold on to. Emerson, they give you something to hold on to.
But it reminds me of how great the black man was back in the day. I mean, before we came over to this country, When we were in Africa, we were kings. We ruled, we dominated the civilization and all of the advancements and how intelligent we were, and the contributions that we gave to this world is phenomenal. But then we came over here and things changed. It's kind of like the Lions. When
it wasn't a willing journey though. It wasn't a willing journey that we came here now. It wasn't like, you know, we didn't buy a ticket.
Yeah, but they changed ownership. The Lions did, and that changed things. And
good deal. That's good. I like how you did that.
We've sucked ever since. But however, to Pastor Brown's point, we have had greatness. We have had great players. We have had Calvin Johnson. We have had Barry Sanders. We've had some greats on this team, but yet we still suck. You know, so
yes, sir.
And I'm gonna make this one last point because I'm quite sure my brothers are going to make a lot of points, but here's a point that I want to make. I want to bring perspective.
Yes.
You take any other ethnic group, any of them, and you put them through what we went through, let's see how their courage is. And I also want to say that it's tough, man. We've been through a lot, but I don't want to harp on that because I'm about moving forward. I believe that regardless of what we've been through, we're a strong people who will persevere, and we have proven this, and we will continue to prove it as we persevere and we overcome, and we're still going to conquer as a people as we come together. But just put in perspective all of the things that we have been through in our history in this country, and you'd be hard pressed to find any people who would do anywhere near as well as we have, although we have a long way to go.
Exactly. Absolutely. Let me go to the phone lines, and the phone lines are still ringing. Let me go to the phone line. I'm gonna go to Cornelius. Cornelius, what's on your heart, brother? We're talking about what happened to the Lions' courage, and how would you tie that into the black man here in America?
You know, let me before I go on to my little thing that I was thinking about, I want to just go back with Sheed on this. Sheed, I was about that close trying to get me some tickets to go to that game, the Atlanta Lions game, but then I'm not about to waste my time going in the pandemic around some people to watch two sorry football teams go head to head. So I just wasn't gonna waste my money on that.
Did you? So at least you said two sorry teams. At least you acknowledged two sorry teams. At least you said that. I love you.
Hey, he's right about it. Two sorry football teams. I'm not afraid to admit it.
Yes, sir.
I'm telling you, we really said when it comes in, she really said when it comes down the line, said we love our team now. Don't get me wrong, but we know they suck.
Yeah.
So we learn to accept that, you know, and just go on with it, you know. But anyway, what I was thinking about, you know, by me being a spiritual man of God, I thought about some things, and one scripture comes to mind that God did not give us the spirit of fear, power, love, and of a sound mind. And I think about the power first with the lion. I believe the lion lost his courage because he lost his identity. And what was his identity? A man of authority. So he forgot who he was. You know what I'm saying? He did that he had authority as a lion. So that's where his courage went. Now, what does that got to do with us? When a black man don't educate himself, when I'm talking about a sound mind, you have to come to the point that where you educate yourself, you become prudent, you get knowledge, you get wisdom, you get understanding. And when you get all those things, then you can step back into your authority, and the fear will not overtake you. And that's something that where a lot of black men forgot that part. They forgot to, like, because if you notice, it's a lot of black men that will educate themselves. And when they educate themselves, they feel like they have that authority. Look at Barack Obama. Barack Obama was an educated black man that got into high authority, to the highest authority in this country. It's saying that we got to recognize that it's one of those things that we're, even within the church, as pastors and leaders, if we don't study the Bible and if we don't pray and gain our understanding of who we are in Christ, we cannot operate in the authority of leadership. And that's where we lose your courage. So when you standing before that pulpit and you looking at over that audience and they looking at you, when you bringing that word and they looking at you like, I wish this man sit down, but you know who you are in Christ. You know the authority that God has given you. You know you have the courage and the boldness to stand before people, even if they hate on you. Because you studied, you got that education, you know how God has given you the understanding and wisdom, and that's how you're able to stand in the authority and with the power that God has given you. And that's just my thing.
Good deal, good deal. Now I'm gonna go ahead and say it. I'm gonna say it right now because I'm looking at the clock. We're gonna go up until 9 o'clock with this one right here. We can't break away because there's so much to be said, and there's so many different layers. And I could touch everybody, but I may only be able to touch you one time. And that's not somebody may say something that you want people to come back and say something about, and so we got to stay with this thing here for just a little longer than 30 minutes, if that's okay with everybody. Now I want to go to Leonard. Leonard, what's on your heart, brother? We're talking about what happened, and we're gonna go back to the phone line as well. What happened to the Lions? What happened to the Lions' courage, and how would you equate that to the black man in America?
Wow. First of all, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Good. Okay. Well, first of all, just like to say good evening. Sorry for being a little late, but
good to have you. Good to have you.
I, of course, see things differently. Those who are courageous are courageous. They ain't went nowhere. They're still courageous. That's how you know who they are.
Now, are you saying courageous or crazy?
I said courageous.
I was just being silly, man. Go ahead.
I said courageous because this is a character trait of men who care. This is who they are. They're courageous regardless. See, so a lot of people pretend, and that's what has happened. This fake, what do you want to call it? What do they call it? Toxic masculinity. I believe is the more popular term, and it's just really a bunch of boys pretending to be courageous until you find their hurting spot.
Yeah.
And then see, you break them this way.
You're saying something right now, because I'm gonna tell you something. There's a lot of black men here in America that's walking around with so much pain, man. Walking around with so much pain.
That's why ministry is so popular. And any good minister can build a following by preaching to these weaknesses in people.
That's good. That's good. Let me go to Mr. Emerson. Mr. Emerson, what happened now? You might not even remember the Wizard of Oz. I don't know if you've seen the Wizard of Oz or not. You know, that was back in the day. But there was a lion on there that had no courage, and he wanted to go see the wizard so he can restore his courage. And so we asked him what happened to the lion's courage and how we tied it in with the black man here in America. What do you say to that, Emerson?
So just clear the air here. I did not see the Wizard of Oz, but I did see the
same
Wiz.
concept. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
There's
the Wiz is better.
Yeah, same concept.
He's on down the road.
So I've heard.
I'm really sorry.
Compare. But I think the issue with the lion, both the lion and men, is that they're disconnected from their source. The lion, let's just talk about the lion for a second. The lion, from what I remember in the movie, when the cast was first introduced to the lion was a statue, or pretending to be a statue. He is not in his environment. He's not where he belongs. A lion is the king of the jungle. The lion takes control over everybody in the jungle. But lion, you ain't in no jungle. You sitting up on the statue.
Come on.
You're not in your place. You're not in your environment where you dwell and where you're supposed to be. And that's the same thing with the black man. The black man's source, of course, isn't the jungle, but it's God. The black men are not connected. I can't speak for everybody, but at the majority in this generation, black men are just adult males. They ain't men. There's so many people that are walking day to day, and they're trying to claim the title or the position of what it means to be a man, but cannot weigh and cannot actually perform the task that it takes to be a man and to perform, the task on a day-to-day basis that are needed to survive in this world as a man. And so exactly. And so I know that when when the lion and the black men are connected back to their source, that they can thrive and they can be successful in whatever they whatever they're supposed to do, whatever their responsibilities are, because they're attached and they're connected to their source.
Look here, I'm sitting there, I'm watching the two fellas at the top right, and she and Pastor Brown, and they're blown away right now. Both of them brothers are blown away right now. Yes, sir. Hey, that's our youth right there, man. That's our youth. Hey, keep doing what you're doing, brother. Keep doing what you're doing. Let me go to the phone line. Rico, we're talking about that lion. What happened to the lion's courage, Rico? And how would you equate that to the black man here in America?
Well, somehow it got suppressed. He allowed it to get suppressed. Maybe I don't know what he witnessed. I don't know if he was kidnapped and bought down on his own and witnessed a whole different environment and then know how to adapt to it. Or maybe he was the last of the line. Maybe he was the last of the Mohicans. And he saw some kind of tactic go on that wiped out the rest of them, and he just didn't want no parts of that. So he conformed. He said, you know what? I ain't going to fight. I'd rather live. And I'll hide. Just let me live a little bit longer, because I saw what you did to the rest of them. Or like I said, maybe they kidnapped him and brought him somewhere out of his environment. And he saw a whole different action going on amongst these people that were like totally illogical. Just crazy people. Imagine these crazy midgets running around, and I guess what they had, the monkeys on the Wizard of Oz.
On the Wiz.
The queen had control over, okay, it was the and then the wicked witch. Oh my goodness, she's so wicked. I mean, so just imagine seeing something like that. Now you from the jungle, you already got a certain nature and everything that you've been, programmed and known the way you have to get away to survive with. But now this woman, she come around and she got some whole different brew of tricks up her sleeve. She got magic, witchcraft, and a complete evil that just made him. I mean, I don't know what that line witnessed, but it suppressed his fear. And so now, if you relate that to the black man, those that are lacking courage, those that won't step up, stand up for themselves, or speak up for others, when they're on the job and they see something going on and they say, well, you know what, I ain't gonna say nothing because I don't want to lose my job. I don't want them to cut my hours. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be in the situation the rest of them jokers is. So he didn't want to suffer the same consequences, and that's most likely what's happening with the black men that fall under that category of losing their courage. It was suppressed. Wow.
Richard, what's on your heart, brother? We're talking about that lion, man. What happened to the lion's courage? And how would you equate that, Richard, with the black man here in America?
Well, first off, I wanted to say that young Emerson there was dropping knowledge. He was dropping wisdom and understanding. I respect that. And that actually, like I said, I think I told last time, it's good to see that in our young brothers. It gives me hope that this particular generation that he's part of is going to be able to correct some issues because they get an understanding of things. But that being said, I'm going to have to agree with him in regard to the courage, of our ancestors that we don't seem to carry in these generations. It seems they're getting watered down every other generation. I think part of the problem is just a lack of understanding who we are, you know, and I think there's a physical, spiritual, and a emotional and a psychological aspect of that. And I think that, you know, the spiritual aspect is, I mean, you've got a generation I've never seen so many young brothers turning out to be what you call it, atheist, you know, so that disconnection between the source of our spiritual strength in God and brothers psychologically, you know, messed up with drugs and all this type of other stuff, you know, so they're not coping well with the PTSD of some of the communities they're in. All right. You got the emotional, a lot of them being raised by women. And instead of having that balance of male rationality, not to say women aren't rational, but men are acting more feminine, you know, and not, that doesn't mean denying our feminine side, but overall giving into it, you know, not standing up and be men, you know, and physical, just, you know, the overall presentation of the brothers these days, you know, and I ain't gonna keep this on the young. I seen some 40, 50-year-old men running around with pants sagging and trying to look like they in the latest drill video from the west side of Chicago, and not having no respect for how they present themselves. So all those things really come back to a foundational knowledge of self that's missing in a lot of young brothers and even some of the older brothers, you know. So I think that's what that signifies.
Good deal. Good deal. Pastor, talk to me.
I just think what Richard said, and I think it was Brother Cornelius.
Yes, on the phone line.
That was speaking a few minutes ago. Yeah. Both of them hit on what I think it is, and it's an identity issue. You know, there's a saying that a crisis is the thing that introduces a man to himself. That sometimes you don't know who you are until you actually go through something. And the problem is that a lot of men in our culture, especially in the US, haven't been prepared for the things that they're going through, the things they're being introduced to, and they revert to the easiest thing that's there, whether it's in the street, whether it's wherever, and they're not. We talked about earlier, I think I forgot what we were talking about, speaking about educating yourself, learning, growing, teaching yourself, having a thirst for knowledge, having a thirst for education. You know, I've been doing a lot ever since, you know, Chadwick Boseman died. You know, there's been so much information about this dude. And he was this cat that really thirsted after wanting to know more. He wanted to know more. He never considered himself, he was a humble brother from what all accounts that I've seen and read. And he strove to know more about God, know more about himself, know more about culture, know more about how he could help others. I think that's an example that we should always be striving to get to know more, not just for self's sake, but how can we learn more that we can build those around us. Every good leader is not a good leader because he can go and do a bunch of stuff. A good leader is one that can duplicate himself or herself in others, because they don't always have to be there to make sure everything goes right. If you always have to be there, you are not a leader, period, point blank. If you have to stay there and you got to watch over everybody and they got to see you, you got to walk through the door in order for everybody to do what's right, you're not a leader. Stop fooling yourself. The only way you know you're a leader is that when you are gone and things operate the same way that they should, that's when because now you are comfortable in yourself, and you're so comfortable with yourself, you allow others to grow within themselves. That's what God, I believe, has called us as men to be. It's one day I won't be around, and one day my son is going to have to go and do his own thing. At that point, if he's got to keep calling back every 5 minutes, I did not do my job.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. She, talk to me, brother.
Hey, that's some good stuff right there, man. I was chewing on that, man. That mark of being a leader and duplicating yourself, and that's awesome. I was chewing on a whole lot of stuff that people were saying. I love what Emerson said about being disconnected from the source.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to go back to something that Leonard said though, because that intrigued me the most, and I've been chewing on that ever since he said it. That the courageous people are still here.
Yeah.
And I thought about that because courage is something that's innate. That's not something that's taught. It's an intangible that either you have or you don't, man.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see it in so many different areas. And what I've seen throughout the course of the history of Black America is that the courageous were killed.
Mm-hmm.
There was systemic things put in place to control that. And man, the devil himself had an intricate plot and a scheme to eradicate a whole race of individuals, man, who are courageous.
Mm-hmm.
But when you think about a lot of people who are courageous, they were killed. A lot of them are in jail. They've been misguided. So that courage, they use it towards things that don't matter. When you take education away you got courage, but no education, you have a misguided, brave person, and that courage tends to show up as aggression.
Mm-hmm.
And when all you are is aggressive, you're going to mess around and get into some trouble.
Yes, sir.
But you go to the prison system, you're going to see a whole lot of courageous jokers up in there.
Mm-hmm.
But they locked up, so they're useless. They can't do anything with the courage that God gave them because they squandered it on things that didn't matter. And a lot of it is not their fault. It's the position that they were put in from the jump, because they were born under certain conditions that this society, this country had like literally created for them.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't know how to get out of it because they didn't have the proper guidance. They didn't have the proper tools. But they had the courage, but didn't necessarily have the insight and the education to do something productive with that courage that they had. So there are still people, I agree with Leonard, that are courageous right now. The question is, I'm reminded of the situation when George Floyd was killed.
Mm-hmm.
We got a lot of young people who reacted to that without education, without guidance. You know, the older heads need to get with the younger heads, and do our part to educate, to guide, to lead, to counsel, and then let those young bucks who have all that courage and have all that energy do the work, put their hands to the plow and mobilize and do some things that's going to be productive moving forward.
Absolutely. Richard, what's on your heart, brother?
Unmuted. Can you hear me now?
Uh-huh.
Okay. You know, I want to touch on what Rashid said, you know, not to get off topic, I'll be brief, but with that situation with George Floyd and the whole situation with Black Lives Matter, that's one of my criticisms for a while, is all fury, but with no guidance. You know, it's like shooting a bunch of bullets in the wrong direction because you don't have sense enough to listen to someone and tell you which direction the enemy actually is. And what I've come to find, unfortunately, something that's been bred in our people. Our people have had certain things bred into us since slavery: light versus dark, male versus female, young versus old. And unfortunately, this whole young versus old thing, that's created a big problem. The elders with the wisdom, those who had gone through the civil rights movement, or at least knew people who did it, had wisdom to share with this generation as far as, you know, all the Black Lives Matter stuff. They weren't trying to hear it. You know, their echo, and one of the things that they would say would be, you know, we are not our ancestors, as if that made any sense. Actually, it didn't make sense. The whole statement didn't make sense. Our ancestors were strong. That's why we're here. Our ancestors endured and built. That's why we're here. So to say we're not our ancestors, to me, was always an irrational situation. It was like saying, okay, we're not going to do it like Dr. King then. We're going to stand up. And actually, it's pretty much an irrational thought. That's that courage without guidance. And we see this reflected. If you look, for example, at hip hop culture, you know, it's all about what's new, what's young. You go to one of these young guys and you ask them who Rakim is or who KRS-One is, they ain't going to know. They ain't going to care to know. But now if you go up to a young white boy, you ask who the Beatles are, who the Rolling Stones are, he's going to tell you every one of the members and their best 5 songs that ever came out, because it's a respect for that which came before it. And I think, and that's, again, a whole problem with our gang situation in Chicago. Old heads, OGs can't say anything to the young bucks, you know, and them not being able to say that. I'm not saying that I want them to be, you know, organized crime, but the fact is why it's so wild is because there's no control, no wisdom guiding those brave young men out there that's willing to be about it, but they don't have any OGs to give them direction about which way to go. So I just wanted to touch on what Rashid said, because that made me think about all those things.
Man, that's good. That's good, man. And once again, we have lost.
Yeah, Rashid got the bridge.
So I'm gonna go ahead and step in and bring in my sister, Don Carlos Chiral's sister, Mary. We have not heard from her yet. Mary, what do you have to say about this topic?
Grace.
Oh, Grace. Did I'm sorry, I said Mary.
She look here, we got to pay you double time tonight, brother.
Hey, Raheem, I call Grace. I call Grace Mary because I'm thinking about your daughter, man. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. Grace, actually, Grace, are you there? I think Grace, we lost Grace for a second. So I get everybody else to call in. They shut the whole phone lines and everything down. So we're gonna get this thing back up and running. Y'all bear with us for a second. The system is tripping tonight. Don't want this conversation to go forward. But in the meantime, let me go to Don. Don, what's on your heart, brother? Don, wake up and go to sleep.
Okay, all right.
What's on your heart, brother?
I was thinking about courage, about what true courage is, and I'm trying to go from the Bible standpoint. I think if you trace the New Testament meaning of courage now, if courage is the opposite of fear, right? Then when Paul is talking to one of the churches, he said, the Lord did not give us a spirit of fear, but of power and love and sound mind. So I would have to just from extrapolate that must be the components of what courage is.
Yes.
You see? And so I think as I've been saying about the I think the wisdom, you know, from the older people and all that kind of thing. And also the going back to what Emerson said, to the source, because if you have the macho, you just have a lot of tough guys, a lot of toughness, as you guys were talking about, as you see Richard every day, and you were talking about Rashid up there a few minutes ago. You see the toughness, but that's not. But it's got to be some wisdom. It's got to be some light where that heat is. And that's where that power, love, and a sound mind comes. Wisdom of God comes. That's where Proverbs comes in, for wisdom for the young people. You see what I'm saying? And so I think if we can see a group of young people raised up like Emerson, he's gonna have a degree of courage, not just because he's Rashid's son, but because he is, but because Rashid is teaching him the things of God. So there's power and love and soundness of mind to equip him, as Pastor Brown was saying earlier, to be a leader of those courage.
That's good. That's good.
So if we can hook back to that, then I think we can, you know, and of course, you know, we're not saying that somebody else can have any courage, but it seems like to me, that's the component of it. That's what we need for it. Real courage, fearlessness, the kind of, you know, Daniel in the lion's den and Shadrach, Meshach, and a bad Negro. All them. So
did you say it in a bad Negro?
Okay.
Okay, good deal. Good deal. Okay, all right. Cornelius, what's on your heart? Don acting up tonight.
You know, it's several things that's going through my thoughts, and I'm trying not to be long, but I'm a couple quick things that was said that really struck me as well. And one thing I thought about was about the leadership. The pastor was saying that about the leadership, that it's a reflection of the leadership. And one thing I thought about, and if you're a good leader, you shouldn't have to be there. It should be an example of people that's following you should be the example. And I think about my bishop, that when the time that he'd been down and wasn't there or sick or something, that me and a couple other leaders, my assistant pastor, we stepped up and the ministry operated the same and never got out of kilter. And we all just kept things rolling the way it was, and he didn't have to be there. And then he knows that we're well equipped to teach the word of God, that we're going to be teaching some strange doctrine. So he knows that everything that he imparted into us and through the power of God is he don't have to always be overwatched. And that is an example of a good leader. And one thing about that too, when you're walking in that type of authority and leadership, people will learn to respect you.
Yes.
Especially as being educated. Because I still keep going back to education. Man, I was a person that could not read a lick. And when I really truly got saved and I started really reading books and reading the Bible to get an understanding and just reading a lot and gathering a lot of information, God began to put prudence in me and knowledge and understanding and education to where now I can know I can stand bold and know what I'm talking about and stand with courage. Because and one thing I think about too, we talk about the Black Lives Matter, it's something that really stood out with me with educated Black men in our society, like Isaiah Thomas. I'm going sports. Isaiah Thomas, I didn't realize how educated he was, but I watched First Take and I heard him talking on there. And I like Stephen A. Smith, another educated Black man. You know, and one thing I respect, Isaiah had made a key statement that I never really thought about the system. And he was talking about, we as Black folks, you got to go against the system. And he talked about how Matthew Broderick and all these other guys supposed to be getting together and taking it to the legislator to fight for the against the system, systematic racism. So in that, but you got to get an understanding how the system operates. So you got to get all this, the education, learning things, and then you know how to attack it with wisdom and understanding and stand with the authority, with the education you got. Because there's one thing about when you're going against people that are so-called in authority, especially in the white America, you got to be educated. When you stepping out here in all these different things, when you trying to get into high levels, you got to be educated, especially we are fighting against our skin color. So you need to educate yourself. Look at LeBron James, look at Michael Jordan. Look at Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan is an owner of an NBA team, a Black man that's standing alongside with these white folks. How many times? I mean, that's a billionaire Black man. And LeBron James never went to college, but because he had people around him to help build his brand, now he's becoming a billionaire, and now eventually he's going to become an owner. But he's a man of morals. I respect him for that. He's a wise man. He's educated the Black kids. He's giving them things to try to build their courage. And that's what it's all about in the Black community, is build their courage, their knowledge, and their understanding, so we can all come up as a people to help educate the next man behind us, so we can come together in unity. And that's just my take.
Exactly. Leonard, talk to me, brother.
And then we're talking about courage. I think one of the things that we need to mention is the fact courage is usually derived from something.
Mm-hmm.
It's usually derived from some type of moral standing or belief by which you anchor yourself to, by what you stand up for. Now, if you don't have anything worthwhile, you're not going to be courageous because there's no foundation for that courage.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, you could be, say for instance, a guy who's not too smart, maybe, but he's built. That's where his courage comes from. You know, his muscles. It may be shallow, but that's where it comes from. He wants to look strong.
Yeah.
So when you say, like, what have happened to the courageous people? You ain't been breeding them. You haven't been instilling courage in them. This is why you don't see them so regularly. It's because it has to be anchored to something. It can't just be, I got courage because the sky blue. One thing these young people have the courage to do is they have the courage to run dead into the fire.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
As crazy as it may be to some.
That's true.
But they're willing to run dead into the fire. That's courage.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Good
some
deal.
People, you know, we may not agree with this, that, or the other, but I know some people, I'm at the point, say, I'll die for what's right. Everybody won't.
Yeah.
Some people may just go along, go with the flow. Some people, you know, they may do a little bit and, oh, it's my job. You know how some people do.
Oh, yeah.
It's just my job, you know. If some of your job is not doing the right thing, you have to live with that every day. You know, the myth of, well, how do you sleep at night? Doing what you do all day. You know, how do you sleep at night knowing that you're part of something that is unrighteous?
Exactly.
How can you sleep at night? See, that's why, you know, it's not that people with courage haven't disappeared. It's just that the tools necessary for courage and the foundation is not there. This is why the home failed. If the father ain't even got enough courage to stay with the family, how much stronger can you expect the children to be? Now you have women who are more courageous than a lot of men, because rather than run away from the difficulties, this is how they face them. With courage, despite that man running off and leaving and not helping. Courage makes her say, you know what, I'm gonna face this head on. Courage don't belong to men. It's a human trait.
Absolutely. Let me go to Emerson, then we're gonna hit Rico, and we're gonna circle this thing back around. Emerson, what's on your heart, brother? Talk to me.
Woo.
He said,
"Woo." I'm excited. Okay, listen. So, Brother Don Sharon got me thinking. He said, what does courage mean in biblical terms? So I cracked out my concordance and I looked up the word courage.
Come on now.
And let me show y'all. Let me show y'all what I found. It says a primitive root, to fasten upon, hence to seize, be strong. Get this. Then it says figuratively courageous. Then it says causatively strengthen, cure, repair. And now, if you don't know what causatively means, let's look it up, shall we? Let's look it up. Causative.
Let's break it down. Let's break it down, young man. Go ahead, talk to him.
Causatively indicates that the subject causes an act to be performed or a condition to come into being.
Preach.
So what that means, it says that positively, if you have courage invested in you, then there's something that you got to do with that courage. You don't just have courage to have courage.
You don't just sit there.
You don't just sit there. You don't, oh, okay, I got courage. Bravo. Congratulations. You got it. Now what you doing with it?
Thank you.
So this says here to strengthen, to cure, to repair. You have to use that courage that's invested in you to repair, to strengthen, to edify, to build people up, to make them who they need to be.
Come on.
And so I think it was Brother Richard. He was talking about how it was ancestral, how people, you know, if you ask somebody about you know, other, I don't even remember the specific references that he made. But he was saying that a lot of people, like black people, they wouldn't specifically know, you know, I don't know what y'all talking about, but if you ask any white person, they'd be like, oh yeah, the Beatles, you know, that's, you know, I know what the Beatles is. And so what that is it's not, that courage isn't invested in you. Those people, if it's ancestral, it needs to be doing something. It needs to be moving. You know what I'm saying? It can't just be stationary and staying in one place. We got to do something with it.
Exactly. Rico, man, we blowing it up tonight, but we only got a couple of more minutes before we get out. Before we finish this square here, we're gonna go to our next square. But man, go ahead, talk to me, Rico. What's on your heart, brother?
You know, I heard Rashid say earlier that courage was innate, and Leonard said it was instilled, and I agree with both of them. I think it's both. You know, but the one thing that we have to figure out about courage is that it has to have one basic trait that you have to have courage. And you have to be able to get out of your comfort zone. You have to make yourself uncomfortable. When you have courage, you got to be able to do things that other people are afraid to do.
Yes, sir.
That means stand up, speak up. You know, like I was saying earlier and Linda said a second ago, when you on that job and you seeing something that's going wrong, maybe this boss man or this supervisor was able to go by and say what he wanted to everybody else, and you knew it was totally wrong, racist, sexist, or whatever, but you weren't gonna tolerate it. You weren't gonna tolerate the misgivings that was going on because your son or your siblings might have to come at that work at that same place, and it would kill you as a man to know 15 years or 20 years later your son is going through the same thing. Like Leonard said, how can you sleep at night? I worked at a job at once upon a time. I couldn't sleep at night. I thought about it, man. What if my son come out here and have to go through the same stuff that I'm going through as a young black male that's being looked at as just like somebody ignorant? Yeah, true enough, I was underachieving even working at that job. I should have been in college being somebody's boss, but I underachieved and made mistakes and ended up in the labor force and got looked at as less than, and I didn't appreciate it. So I knew I didn't want my sons to have to go through that, have to sit back and take some of the stuff these other men went through. Therefore, at 23 or 24 years old, I was a union rep over 400 people. Some of these guys older than my mom, older than my dad. I'm representing them, putting myself on the line. I had to make myself uncomfortable though. I had to take a risk. I might lose my job. You know, I might get targeted. I did get targeted. I had to file a lawsuit against this company. So it got deep, you know, but I had to take that risk. I had to make that sacrifice because I did not want my son, just in case he didn't make the right decisions and had to come to this same foundry to have to go through this same thing and then feel like, you know what, I'm gonna just put up with it for the pay. So you have to understand that if we want to relate that lion to the black man, that black man got to get out of his comfort zone. Get away from being content and comfortable with the situation that he's in, whatever his material or superficial gains are, and say, you know what, I'm gonna step up. You might be scared, but not this one right here.
Exactly. Walking that unfamiliar. Sometimes you got to walk that unfamiliar, man, that nobody's gonna walk with you, and you have to go out there and deal with it. Now, it is now 9 o'clock, so we're going to change the topic, man. I know y'all fellas said we could go ahead on and go and finish this one up and keep going, but we will revisit this topic. Go ahead, Sherrod. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead, Sherrod. I see your finger.
Okay. Yeah, I was thinking about what Rico said, and I also think about what Emerson said. You know, that's what this whole thing is about, is motivation. We're talking about motivation. First of all, I want to applaud you, Rico, for what you did and how you stepped on up and accomplished so much on that job. And you were thinking about your son. You know, that was one of the things that was helping to motivate you. And I think that's the whole thing about true courage, It's motivated by the scripture. I go back to the scripture of power and love and a sound mind, because the reason that the people were courageous of old, because what motivated them was the will of God, and they knew the power of God, and it was the love of God in them that helped all that happen. You're right, Emerson. It's not a stagnant kind of thing, but it starts with God. Courage starts with God. It's not something you can just pick on up. Toughness, you know, and all of that you can pick on, but true courage, the true courage, you know, we have things that look like courage, but true courage to do anything, to step in front of any situation is by God, because I got to believe that God is, that not I can just take care of myself no matter what. No, I got to believe that God is going to take care of me. That's where the courage comes in. It's got to be connected to God.
I think I see she. Go ahead, she. What's on your heart, brother? Y'all don't want this topic. Y'all don't want to lead this one.
Well, I'm gonna make it quick. Because you're right. We could go on forever, but I would just want to make one quick point. We're throwing the word courage around very loosely, and I think that we got to be careful not to label certain things courage that ain't courage. You know, Leonard was talking about people running through the fire. Now, it might be courage, but it also might be crazy. Some people may run through the fire because they're crazy. Some people may run through the fire because they have lost hope. Let's not confuse despair with courage. Okay. You know, courage is specifically you know what? Let me shut up, because I was about to go into a story, man, and I told you I was only going to be brief. So let me shut up.
Let me do this right here. Everybody, listen to me for a second. Real men being men, the way we used to do this thing, Rashid, you remember in the beginning, we had one topic, and we talked about it. We talked for 2 hours. Now, do y'all want to stay with this topic the rest of the night?
We don't necessarily have to. You float with it as you see fit, Raheem. But because we're disciplined enough to move on to the next topic. I think I speak for the entire panel. Of course, we would like to continue to talk about it, but man, let's do what's on your heart to do, that the Lord gave you to do for the night, because that it may be another topic that you have in the hopper that is also powerful. So we'll see how it goes, man.
Okay. Well, let me pay a bill real quick. I'm gonna pay this bill, and we're gonna come back and we're gonna jump to a different topic. Y'all give me 1 second. Let's pay this bill, and we're gonna keep this thing going. We're gonna keep it going. Here we go. Ready, set.
I'm looking to buy my first home.
Welcome to Home Solution Providers, where you can participate in our first-time home buyer program. In our first-time home buyer program, we can help you qualify for a mortgage with a preferred lender, participate in our financial education and growth program, work with a preferred realtor to help you find the house of your dreams, and assist you with closing costs, and much more. Just contact 678-489-7531. Home Solution Providers, 678-489-7531.
Thank you.
Home Solution Providers, 678-489-7531. www.homesolutionproviders.org.
Good deal. Had to pay that bill. I'm gonna go, and as a matter of fact, who gonna start this topic off with us right here? Let me go to Richard. Richard, I'm gonna start it off with you. Richard, are we all racist to some degree?
Oh, yeah, I heard someone say that. In fact, I heard someone say that the other day, actually. I forgot which public intellectual it was I was listening to, saying that we're all racist to some degree. I'm going to say, I don't necessarily believe we're all racist to some degree. I do believe that we all have bought into the idea of white superiority and black inferiority to some degree. Whether we're black, white, Asian, Arab, Latino. And let me be clear. I know that people always want to talk about people of color, but in this country, the foundational idea of race is predicated on the idea of whiteness and blackness, period. And it's either one or the other. It's the idea of the sacred category of whiteness, which is to be protected, and the category of blackness, which is to be shunned and oppressed and looked down upon. And we have all internalized that in some way. And, you know, I'm not a Muslim, but Elijah Muhammad did say a few things that are wise. And one of them is for us to wake up to knowledge of self and understand those things about ourselves. First, we got to see it in ourselves to deal with it and address it, which hopefully those of us that are speaking here have gotten the maturity to address those things. You know, I know that people want to talk about racism in a generality. You know, yeah, in theory, obviously, anyone can believe they're superior or inferior to someone predicated on their skin color. Anybody can do that. But racism in a general sense has never been the problem in the United States. The problem in the United States has been the idea of whiteness, by mutual implication, the lower or bottom category of blackness. So once we understand that, and I think all of us, white and black people, to both of our detriment, have bought into this idea of white supremacy and black inferiority.
Okay, we have some difficulty with this volume there. Rich, I think Richard froze on us. Let's go to Don. Don, what do you say to that? Are we all racist to some degree?
I think we have a tendency to be prejudiced. I guess I bought into a definition of racism, and I guess when I think of racism, I always think about institutionalized racism, and to me, it's just ingrained in my mind that if you are a racist, there's some kind of way that you can wield power over someone else. Let me just get something else before I even say any of that. I was just really listening to Richard because he was really coming through with some great wisdom right there for us. And it's something to really think about, because we all really have, you know, I mean, I guess what he's saying, rather than have an intellectual discussion about it, what is the effect of it? And it really has affected all of us to some degree. And we've internalized a lot of it. You know, I'm older than some of you guys, but when I started, I always felt that I was as good as white folks. You know what I'm talking about? But my manifest destiny was try to prove to them that I was. So if I got to prove to them that I was, I already think that they're superior to me because I've got to answer to them. If you think about some of those things right there. So he's talking about some heavy stuff. I really, you know, when I was just getting ready to sit back and just take it on in, okay. But I think that that we all have our biases and our prejudices, and we look at other people. You know, we have stereotypes. I think that, you know, we have these stereotypes about, you know, Hispanic people are a certain way, Jewish people are a certain way, you know, black people are a certain way, white people, all that kind of stuff. We all have those kinds of things. And a lot of times it's more of a harmless. It's a way of escape for us. It's not necessarily the kind of put down. If you had you have that power over them. And so I think in that sense we all have a little racism. But hey Richard, I was just talking about how I was enjoying what you were saying, man. Why you have to dip, man? Can you hear me?
Go ahead, Richard. Finish your thought, brother.
I'm sorry, man. I'm having technical difficulty, but yeah, brother Don. You know, no, it's just that, you know, I think that, you know, again, in our society, you know, you hear white people talking about reverse racism or saying that they've experienced racism. Yeah, they can experience individual racism. There's some black folks who just ain't gonna like you because you white. That can happen, you know. But again, that has not been the foundational problem in the country. The foundational problem in this country has been the whole idea of whites being superior to blacks. And mind you, whiteness did not include a lot of people when it first started. When whiteness first started back in 1587 or whenever, all right, when the idea of whiteness, well, I would say the idea of whiteness begins when Christopher Columbus starts coming over here in the early, or in the late 1400s. But in any case, whiteness once only meant Brits, being English, Scottish, some Dutch. It didn't even count really Italians. And it's actually ironic that Christopher Columbus, being Italian and the country being named after Amerigo Vespucci, another Italian, that Italians didn't actually attain whiteness till like right before World War II. Mediterranean people were not really considered white. Slavic people, Russians weren't really considered white. You know, now as whiteness needed to broaden its numbers, it started letting the Irish people in, Italian people in, Mediterranean people, Slavs in, right? And it's all to try to, you know, keep blackness at bay. You know, if you look about these definitions, and I'm gonna be real quick on this one. Think about this. You have people that believe that they're mixed, okay, because they're half white, half black, okay? But the reality is they're not. A black person has never been 100% Bantu West African. That has never been what a black person is. Whiteness tried to guard itself to the point that it tried to say, if you are 1/8 black, 1/8 ancestor, one ancestor that is, you know, 1/8 removed, I guess, if that person was a black African, you could not be white. Now think about the mentality on that. That is some serious. So that means if you could look at a person, look completely white, and then you find out they got that one black relative, and all of a sudden they're black. Now look at Meghan Markle. Now I'm gonna say this, and this is the last I'm gonna say on it. Meghan Markle got married to Prince Edward, is it his name? And all the sisters was getting excited and happy, you know, because they felt some validation there. Why, I don't know. But yet this woman actually said that she wasn't black. She says, I am a mixed person. Now think about this. She held on to that idea. I'm a mixed person. She has a baby with the Prince of England. This child's grandmother, all right, or I should say this child's, this child's grandmother is the Queen of England, okay? Or his great-grandmother is Queen of England. He's royalty. And all they saw, that's what ran them out the country, made them go to Canada, you know, renounce their royal title, is because of all those newspaper articles over there drawing this child as a monkey, drawing this child as a chimp, all right, drawing her as a monkey and a chimp, all right. So what did they see? Even though this child, by all practical purposes, probably looked like a little white boy, but the fact that they knew that his grandmother on his mother's side is a black woman, that was enough. That's why I reject that whole concept of mixed race people. You could be a mixed ethnicity, meaning that you come from various different ethnic backgrounds. You could be part Scottish, part Italian, part German, and part West African. That I believe. But you can never be part black. Either you're black or you're not. And we have to dispense of this idea, because that's another tactic being used social politically. To tell us that there's a category of mixed people is to separate and to lower the number of black people. You know, and they embrace that mix because they want to escape the blackness. All right. They embrace that mix until something happens, like what would happen with the princess there. And then all of a sudden they're black again, you know, when they want to come to us for refuge. Now, I'm just saying that just shows you right there. This is how it works in America.
Are you talking about
OJ, Michael, Vanessa Williams, all of them came back when the stuff hit the fan. You know what I'm saying? You know, they weren't black. They had escaped their blackness. But as soon as something negative happens, you know, they come back to being black. And like I say this, when Barack Obama became president, some of the white people on the Republican side and some of the ignorant Negroes on that side, and I say this as a Republican, but the ignorant ones were sitting here saying that Obama was not black. He was half white. So I told all of them, I said, okay, Obama's president of the United States, right? He not black. I get it. I said, if Obama was on Cicero and Madison on West Side of Chicago, robbing a liquor store and went to jail, what you gonna call him then? Black. Exactly. I said, so now that he president, sorry, you can't take it. You know, blackness is always tied to that which is negative. You doing negative things, you're not mixed no more. You black. Nobody's saying mixed when you go into prison. You know. So again,
hold on. Man, I could go with you all night, man. But
I'm sorry. Yeah, let me be quiet.
Let me go to Pastor Brown. Pastor Brown, talk to me. What do you say to this, man? Are we all racist to some degree? The brother took a deep breath, bro. Ain't no tell. Whoa. He took a deep breath. My God.
Yeah, that's okay. If you want to say, do we all have bias? I believe that we all have bias. I believe we do. If I was to walk out on a basketball court right now and I had to pick my team, and the last two players, one is white, one is black, it's my pick. Probably taking the black kid, unless he's 7 foot.
Nah, hey, take the jump shooter, man.
So I have a bias there. And you got to take the jump shooter. You're right, all day long. But there's a bias. Racism. When you say racist, the problem is for me to be a racist, I would need to be in a dominant position. I'm sorry. I'm just looking at the definition of the word. If for someone to be racist, it says, when you look up the word, it talks about having a prejudice, typically coming from thinking one group is more superior than another. That typically comes from the group that thinks they are superior. That's where you have this white supremacy. That's where you have the militias holding up in northern parts of the state. So just in case whatever happens on the 3rd, all this foolishness is due to this superiority of mentality due to what's been inbred, regardless of the truth or not. That's racism. If we have a bias, sure, there's cultural biases that you see all the time. It's cultural. In fact, some black people are more biased against themselves.
Colorism, absolutely.
I mean, and that happens, especially depending on what part of the country you may be in. It just happens. There's some parts of the country where literally they don't even think about color. It's rare, it's small, but it does exist. But racism, I think that everyone has a bias. I think everyone has some sort of bias that we need to look at.
Richard, I'm gonna come back to you. I want to touch a few more people, and I'll come back to you, brother. Rico, what's on your heart? What do you say to that, man? Are we all racist to some degree?
I can't speak for everybody, but I believe most black people, like me, myself, I speak for myself. I can say that I am biased. I have caught myself being biased, but I can honestly, think about when did I first realize race existed? And I didn't realize there was a problem with race, or that I was looked at as less than, until a white person made me aware of it. I didn't know race exists. I just thought we were all human. So if I ran up to a little white boy in the store, a Chinese boy, I knew they looked a little different, so I might have thought he knew karate because he was Chinese and I like Bruce Lee, but I wasn't racist. I didn't have anything against him. I just associated what I saw with what I saw. You get what I'm saying? Didn't have anything against them. So, I didn't find out that was a problem or any hatred involved, any spite, any malice. We wish we could put you in a situation like this happened in the past or whatever, until I ran across a white person that made me aware of that. So whatever my bias is a condition or a response to racism. So therefore, I can't be a racist because I didn't initiate that hate or that malice towards white people. I never had that from the very beginning. It was never taught to me. I always had an apprehension that was due to a response of what happened, what I learned, what I experienced after so many times of being told by a white person that I'll get a job before you because I'm white. And some people down here in the South real bold, especially when you hurt their feelings. Don't hurt one of them feelings and they'll tell you, I'm white. I think Chris Rock made a joke one time on one of his shows that he asked a homeless man, if he had a choice, would he trade his life to be a black man? And I know Chris Rock was joking, but that the joke was that the homeless man would prefer to stay homeless and white.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I didn't know racism exists until a white person showed me I can't be racist because I never had that intent or never knew anybody that had that intent or that authority or privilege to do something to you and get away with it on behalf of their color.
Mm-hmm. That's good. She, talk to me, brother. Are we all racist to some degree?
Well, this is what I want to add to this conversation. First of all, there's a whole lot of intelligence going around here, man. Richard, man, I can sit there. I felt like I was in class. Yeah, I'm about to break out my where are my glasses? And I ain't even got to look at that. I just want to get a notebook and pad. But the intelligence is on 10 on this panel tonight, man. And I really appreciate that. Let me say this. I agree with the definition that Pastor Brown gave, the prejudice, but being in a position of power because you can do something about that prejudice. What Richard was saying about the white superiority and the black inferiority, I think that's what racism is. Is when you feel that way about your race being superior over another race, and then you do something about it because you have the power to. And so that's why I agree with what Rico said as far as us being reactors to it. Mm-hmm. Let me tell you something. Racism is taught, man. It's a learned behavior. It's a learned behavior because we don't feel that way when we're kids, like Rico was saying. And I think if we really were to think back, we could probably remember that too, the purity of the heart that we have as kids. And if we can't remember how it was when we were kids, then pay attention to our own kids. I have a 6-year-old right now. I can guarantee you he's not a racist. Yeah, I can guarantee you he don't have biases towards white people. However, he does have biases. See, because biases come when you have certain experiences. It's going to create biases in you. My 6-year-old has a bias towards his mother that he does not. He has a bias. He understands certain tendencies and how things work because of his experiences. It produces a mindset that he has. Racism is something when you're told that white people are superior, white people tell that to their children. They teach their children racism. If they didn't teach their children racism, I don't think we would have that issue like we have it. Yeah. Here's another thing. Black people also teach that to their children. I was taught that as a black kid. My father used to always tell me, and I'm gonna tell you, we don't actually have a choice sometimes. Sometimes we feel like we don't have a choice, but somebody can give me another way. Maybe Leonard can enlighten me on this because I know Leonard is good with these types of topics. So I would like to hear Leonard's heart on it. But a lot of times we feel like we don't have a choice because of what's thrown at us, Black America. When the racism is thrown our way, we have to defend ourselves and we have to prepare for it. So my stepdad used to tell me, you got to be twice as good as white people to do half as much. You know, basically what he was communicating is you're going to have to be exceptional if you're going to make it in this world because you are black. So we are taught because of the color of our skin that we're going to have to excel exceedingly. I know that's redundant, but we're going to have to excel exceedingly because of the color of our skin. Well, that is feeding that mindset of racism. It's telling you, and I think it was Sherrod, I don't know if it was Sherrod or Rico who said it, it's teaching black people that we are inferior and that we have to do more to be on the same level as white people. But that's because that's the system that has been created in this country. In this country, that system has been created and that system has been taught from generation to generation, whether you are white or black.
Let me go to the phone line. Well, as a matter of fact, my baby girl is with us. Mary, you here? Mary?
Indeed, I.
Okay, now I'm gonna prep y'all. She don't like talking about stuff like this, but I'm gonna ask you the question anyway because I need to ask you the question. Are we all racist to some degree? What do you say to that?
I do not comment.
I figured as much. I figured as much.
Have anything.
Okay. We'll let it stay right there. Staying on the phone line, Cornelius. What do you say to that, brother? Are we all racist to some degree?
So I preface my comments. Ryan, I gotta get ready to get back to work, man. So I just want to really say goodbye to everybody. God bless you all. Love you all.
Hey, love you as
love
well,
what
brother.
the wisdom is coming forth.
Mm-hmm.
So let me say this part. You know, when before the pandemic hit, I was been preaching at the nursing home.
Mm-hmm. Did we lose you? Cornelius, are you there? Got to keep this thing going, man. I think we lost him, but we're gonna come right back. I want to go to Mr. Emerson right now, and I want to ask you the question, young man. Are we all racist to some degree? What do you say to that?
I'm gonna say no.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna sound redundant, but pretty much I'm in direct alignment with what everyone else is saying. That racism is inherited. Those are things that people teach you. Hey, we're superior than this person, or this race is this way because ... and we don't like them because ... But I feel like there are definitely biases and things that people can learn from different experiences that that happen as they do in are in certain situations.
Mm-hmm. Good deal. Leonard,
hey,
she wanted to hear from you, brother. And
interesting.
Are we all racist, Leonard? Are we all racist to some degree? What do you say, Leonard?
Sure, you can be racist to some degree. All you got to do is believe in that doctrine, and that makes you racist.
Mm-hmm.
That means you believe in racism. It's not. I mean, it's not as big a conflict as people do. It's just the fact that white people don't want the same word that they use to hurt white folks to be used on them. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So you're defensive behind the word because you have chosen to use this word only to describe whites, which is incorrect. Racism is a belief or doctrine that for whatever reason that your race predispositions you, or there's some innate-ish thing usually supporting your particular race as being superior. Now, if a black man believes that about white people, then he's a racist as well, because he believes that about white people. That makes him a racist by definition.
Okay.
So now, if you're going to use the word as your pistol, though, you don't want that gun to be turned back on you. You understand? Does it make more sense that way?
Like to say back in the day, ain't no fun when the rabbit got the gun.
Exactly. Okay. So racism in itself, if you study racism, it's a belief or doctrine that is usually propped up by someone's particular race or culture, usually being superior.
Yeah.
Now, what you do is you take this racist belief or doctrine and you weaponize it. And once you weaponize it when you codified it into law to use it legally. See, that's where it comes from.
I got a question for you, Leonard.
Go ahead, Sheet.
What do you call it when black people respond to the racism? Because I know there are a lot of black people that hate white people.
Mhm.
I'm just gonna keep it real.
Mhm.
But the reason that they hate white people is not because they think blacks are superior to whites. They hate white people because of all of everything that they have caused black people to go through over the years, because white people think they are superior to blacks. So if you are reacting to that ideology,
No,
is that
because
racist?
the definition says the belief or doctrine that race makes you superior is racism. You just said it yourself. The black people who hate white folks don't hate them because they believe they're superior. They hate them as a result of what they do as racist.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
See, I don't generally have a problem with racism as long as you keep it in your house.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
As long as you keep it at your house. But see, when you go to work, you got to leave that at home.
Mm-hmm.
When you go to the grocery store, guess what? You got to leave that at home. But you can have it.
But that's impossible. How do you if you
Mind your own
genuinely-
business.
If you genuinely believe that your race is superior, you can't just compartmentalize that and keep that in. You can't just keep that in your house, man. That's gonna go with you everywhere you go.
Yes, you can, because that's what that's actually what the agreement is with racism. Keep it to yourself.
Exactly. Exactly.
You can come to work and have all these feelings.
It's gonna spill out.
And then I'm gonna get you, and that's when I'm gonna get you. Is when
It's
it come
gonna spill
out.
It's gonna spill out because you
the thing
believe
about
it.
Yeah.
I think the thing about it is, and what she is saying is, you know, a leopard's gonna show his spots in some kind of way.
But be careful. Be careful if you get anything from this conversation, and I hope I helped you look at it differently. So you become a hypocrite. If you believe that racists shouldn't mix, that's racist.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Now, if you create a law against it, that's you weaponizing that belief or doctrine to use it against someone else. Now, like Rashid just said, there are some people, they don't care nothing about mixing with other races or whatever because they're not racist. So that's why it doesn't really matter to them. These kids are doing these things that they're doing because they're truly not racist. They're just that smart. They know racism is based in ignorance. It's a belief or doctrine. It ain't fact. It's a belief or doctrine. If you accept that, you identify as a racist.
Good deal. Good deal. Let me do this. I want to go back to Cornelius. He got cut off, and he said he needed to get back to work. So I want to make sure I don't take too much of his time. Cornelius, want to finish your thought, brother?
Yeah. And the reason why I was bringing that up because my wife, she worked at a nursing home, and she would tell me that how the older Caucasian would call her the N-word and different things like that, and she still had to clean her butt and do all these different things for them, and then tell her, "Don't touch me, N-word," and different that, or NB and all these different things, but she still had to do her job with integrity, you know, and things like that. Now she would tell me this, so then when I go to the nursing home and start preaching, you know, all those thoughts is in my mind, and I'm like, okay, and dealing with the Caucasians and whatever the case. But then once I get into the Word of God and we teach it, and then we go around and hugging on them, and then some of them will hug me and say, "God bless you, baby. Thank you for the word," and different things like that. We so glad that you came out. So why did I bring that up? Because I don't believe that all people are racist in some degree. I do believe that we all have our prejudice and different views and aspects of things. But as far as being racist, no, I don't. Because like she said earlier, and I was on that same line of thinking that racism is taught. And some people just will not exceed. You have some Caucasians, like even out here when all this stuff was going on and people were standing up and the whites out marching with the blacks, and even during the time when Martin Luther King was out marching, you had whites that was right there with him. Some people may have been throwing that stuff in their face, but they will not receive it because they know it's wrong. That some people are humble enough to recognize that I'm not superior over another person.
Yeah.
Because we are all human. And that's the key. So no, I don't believe that, Raheem, in that aspect that all folks are racist. So, and that's just my take. So God bless you all, man.
Hey, bless
and
you as
y'all
well, bro.
continue to be encouraged to be safe.
Yes, sir.
Love you, man.
I love you as well.
Yeah.
We're gonna play this commercial. We're gonna continue. We're not going to another square. We're gonna stay right here. And cause we at 35 right now. So let me play this commercial real quick. You play the bill. We're gonna come back and we're gonna keep this conversation going.
If you are looking for a reliable automotive shop in Decatur, Georgia, look no further than B&B Car Care Center. We are the area's leading auto repair center, offering a full range of repairs, maintenance services to keep your car running smoothly. From oil changes, tune-ups, emission inspections to engine repair, exhaust to transmission work, we can take any service issues you might have. For nearly 25 years, B&B Car Care Center has been your go-to place for both foreign and domestic. Give us a call, 770-513-1677. That's 770-513-1677. Customers will receive a $10 discount if you mention this ad.
Good deal, good deal. Let's keep this thing going. Richard, you wanted to say something, brother?
Well, you know, you guys reminded me of a scripture from James 1:19, where it says being quick to listen, slow to speak. I learned something from everything everybody said. Made me put together some things in my head. First of all, Emerson to me represents the future in regard to him saying, no, everybody not racist, because I think his generation, I believe they're the first ones to get us past this whole scourge of whiteness and blackness that has dogged us since slave times. Rico brought up a very good thing to me that made me contextualize it. He was talking about that response factor, you know, because I was going to bring up what Leonard, well, like I said, Leonard brought up, I was going to bring up the Nation of Islam or the Hebrew Israelites in New York. They think they are superior to white people. Nation of Islam teaches that the white man was created by Yaqub up in the mountains and that they are devils. The Hebrew Israelites of New York, they feel that the black man is the original Hebrew and the white man is Esau and he is beneath us. That's racist thought. So Leonard is right. So we have to look at it in context. We're talking to white people about racism, and they've come across any of those situations, they're gonna look at you like birds flying upside your head, and you're a hypocrite if you say black people can't be racist, because they can be by that definition. However, what I learned from Brother Rico is, and this is what Malcolm said, the hate that hate made. I don't think that you get a Nation of Islam or Hebrew Israelites with that mentality if it wasn't for a group of people telling us that we were inferior for 300 years, 400 years, because these groups started in the early 1900s. And I believe that's a response. It's only so long you're going to kick somebody before they start trying to kick back. You know, now, thankfully, most of us don't prescribe to that. You know, however, Leonard was correct. We don't want to look like a hypocrite in conversation. We want them to truly understand systemic and institutionalized racism, which I like how Leonard verbalized as weaponized. That's a perfect description of that. It's weaponized. Yeah, I can be a racist, but I can't weaponize it and do something to you that you can do to me. I can't keep you from getting loans. I can't keep you out of neighborhoods. I can't keep you out of schools. I can't let the police get away with doing you any old sort of way. I don't have that power to weaponize it. So that's the, I'm gonna cite you in my book. I'm gonna say you said it, but
most definitely.
But it was nice to learn these things from y'all because it puts it out there.
Send him a check.
Yeah, you don't want that check with the book about. But it is nice to learn because y'all all brought some wisdom and some things I hadn't considered, but it made me put it together that way. Yeah, we can be a racist, but generally that's a response. It's not something that we start out believing. It's if we get kicked so often that that as a group, some of us came up with identities and beliefs to feel superior because somebody told us we were inferior for so long. So it is a response. It exists. We have to acknowledge it does exist. But at the same time, it is a response to the dominant race dynamic of whiteness in American culture as a response to it. So that's all I want to share with that.
And even say for instance, I had a conversation with a brother, he's a Muslim brother. And we know my Muslim brothers sometimes, you know, they rail with the Jews.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, the Jews have done something that is just reprehensible when it comes to race and ethnicity and things of this nature. And they've done so much damage. And every time I hear the term used, anti-Semitism,
Mm-hmm.
the way I will usually counteract my Jewish brother is to let him understand, when did anti-Semitism become anti-truth?
Mm-hmm. Come on.
That makes you the liar.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why you defend that so much. It's because you know what you're doing. Semitism had nothing to do with what you're doing. Semitism had to do with everything about everybody in the region. And what they had in common was a Semite language that they would speak. And now you got all these bits and pieces, and now you stole that. And then you weaponized it.
Mm-hmm.
Came over here to perpetrate the lie. And now when somebody tell the truth, you call them anti-Semitic.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're trying to program people to believe that you're right.
Mm-hmm.
And this is when I think Brother Richard was talking earlier. We have to understand what racism is. It's white and non-white.
Mm-hmm.
But think how ignorant that is, because you have to also, well, what about them Chinese people? See, some people, when you say race, they only think about white and black.
Mm-hmm.
See, white folks, that's simple. They'll use something like color, and then it don't work because we smarter than them. No, you're not, because here's the proof you're not.
Good deal. Good deal.
Proof is, it's all over the place that you're not.
Mm-hmm.
But now you have to support that doctrine.
Yeah.
That's what that is. That's what racism is based on. So when you say it says you may have the power, you may have the staff for the next 100 years. If you do that to them based on the color of their skin solely, that's racism. I don't care how you call it. And you know, but then you'll say it's acceptable. Remember, because they called it acceptable as well.
Good deal. Let me do this. Let me keep this thing. I want to go to Rico. He wanted me to call on him. Rico, what's on your heart, brother?
Wait,
Oh no, I was telling you to call me on the telephone.
Oh, okay. Okay, gotcha. Oh, okay. Go ahead, Mary.
I don't know who was just speaking, but what did they say about?
That was Leonard.
It was kind of confusing how they worded it.
Okay. Hey, what's your question?
I know he said in it, like they weaponize their beliefs and then they call us anti-Semitic. What were you saying?
Well, the Jews believe that the current Jews. Did I say the current Jews?
Yes.
Remember Nick Cannon, brother. Remember Nick Cannon.
Exactly.
Those current people occupying Israel.
Mm-hmm. Don't get our show council.
Anti-Semitic is usually interchanged with Jew, anti-Jew usually, right?
Mm-hmm.
When Semitism is really about the region and the language and all these types of things. However, over a period of time, it seemed to somehow become these few handful of people. And now you got all this law and things like that behind them, the Torah and everything else, but they know the truth.
Mm-hmm.
So they've taken all their resources to create this cloud. But if you really talk to those who are really into their faith, close the door. They'll tell you the truth.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to close the door. There are a lot of Jews are now up front and are now teaching more about who we really are,
mm-hmm.
and no longer denying it.
Yeah.
Because the power is already there, the resources, they've already built what it is that they have to build. So it's hard to tear it down.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Good.
you know, you have everybody, you got the black man, he got to pick something left. So what does he have left? Is he going to claim superiority? What? The same? Or what is he going to do next? You know, how are you going to assert yourself? And so this is where the hurt and the pain come, because now you're looking for a reason to assert yourself. And people like myself have to come and tell you who you really are And if you are, fallen into that racist trap mentally, and you've encoded that in your psyche, the evidence is these sick things you say and how you feel. So we have to come in and reprogram you to get that out of you, because the same racism that makes them sick makes you sick.
Exactly. And we're talking about let me go to Pastor. Some has said that the original Jews were not the ones that you see today. But do you have any knowledge of that?
They're not who they claim to be.
Yeah.
I can't really speak on a lot of the historical part of that. I know that to be true. But I can't. I'd have to study it to be able to lay it all out. But But I do know.
You don't want to get us canceled, huh?
Right. But I do know that is true. But I don't want to just say it's true, but not be able to go through it and state it, and walk through it. But yeah, I mean, even what we see now with Netanyahu and all of that.
That's why Palestine got to go into the ocean.
Yeah, and that's why even the more this whole, and that even goes back to this whole white nationalism stuff, because it is not in the US, it is global. This is a whole nother thing. And it's amazing the groups that are now becoming a part of it. And I think that was Leonard that was alluding to that earlier. But yeah, there's a lot more to that. Man, it's
sick.
Yeah.
It's sick. Call it what it is. It's sick.
Yeah.
So Emerson is okay, good deal. Emerson, from where you are in your generation and looking back at what racism was in the past, is it much like a cancer? How would your generation view it? Because racism has been prevalent in America for a long time. Hopefully we're moving away from that in your generation and in the future. So how would you view racism in the past?
Racism, I think racism in the past. No, I got it. Racism in the past.
Okay.
The term racism itself, or the idea or the thoughts of racism itself, over time has been consistent. However, the actions that happened as a result of racism have kind of changed as time persisted. But right now, I think the reason why the topic of racism is so prevalent right now is because people that aren't experiencing the racism happening to them firsthand are starting to pick up on the injustices and the prejudice that is occurring underneath their noses that they probably didn't realize, or they did realize but didn't think enough about it to actually feel the depth of what we actually may be going through. So
I don't mean to interrupt. Say that one more time for me, Emerson. What you just said, I missed it.
I was just saying that the racism right now is, I think that it's prevalent now because people are starting to experience, people who aren't experiencing racism are starting to see firsthand, like some of the things that are happening. And that, there are a lot of things. I mean, racism has been happening for since as long as, I can remember, but people are just starting to pick up on the weight of that. People that aren't experiencing it.
Good deal. Don, talk to me.
Are you saying due to, real quick, just to clarify, are you saying due to technology, because it's being filmed, because people can see it on camera, we have footage now. Is that what you? Is that what
not
you mean?
necessarily, because it was being filmed before, and people still saw it the same. I mean, people saw it differently then, because all of these, police brutality cases and things that are happening were happening.
Emerson, do you think is a part of what you're saying is people have a little more compassion now because of the things that happened with the George Floyd and all of the things that happened? Are people a little more compassionate?
Yes. Although I can't really speak for those. I don't really. I really don't know. I just know that.
He said, "Look at him, man."
That's the right answer, Emerson.
He said, "Look at him, man. Look at him, man. Hey, look at him, man."
That's the right answer, brother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. He said, "Look at him, man."
Hey, you see him?
It don't make sense to me, Emerson.
Hey, listen, Emerson.
What is wrong with them white
people?
people?
We don't know either, man.
Did you say he was scratching his armpit?
We don't know either. Hey, look, I'm scratching mine too. I know Pastor Brown over there scratching.
Crazy, man.
Talking about anti-Semitism. He got the scratching over
I
there
thought he
too.
had eczema. I didn't know what was going on. You ain't got to preach that Sunday, Pastor. Don't preach that Sunday. No.
Hey, we over here sweating, man. Go to another topic.
No, let me go to Richard.
Because you get to talk to Jews. No, use.
Exactly. Richard, what's
all right. Well, we all know what happened to Nick Cannon, so we got to be careful on that topic. One day, if you do a show about it, I will historically approach the topic. Carefully and gingerly. You can't. What did Dave Chappelle say? Alphabet people. Not gonna talk about them. Jews. I'm not getting Nick Cannon. Leonard's gonna get us all canceled.
Exactly.
I love to use.
I'm gonna say this.
Especially that wine. That's
Emerson.
Wine. That elderberry Manischewitz, boy, get on that. Go ahead.
Oh, Lord. Emerson, I think you bring up a good point. One, I think that what you're seeing in your generation is the humanization of Black people, particularly Black men.
Yes.
I think that your generation is finally, the white people in your generation finally start seeing us as human beings. I think that, how we've been looked at as animals and beasts and brutes has been so accepted that I think seeing George Floyd getting killed. I know there's some white people that double down on it. I've seen some people, he was resisting in some type of way that I don't know what video they were watching. But for the most part, I think that made some people realize that, hey, we are human beings. We might be strong and big and Black, but we die just like anybody else if you put your knee in our neck. And I think, unfortunately, that's one of the things I think is good that came from that. I mean, I wish it never happened to the man, but because it did, I think it showed people that. Brother Leonard was talking about Chinese people. I had to break this down to some Latinos the other day. You got a lot of them supporting Trump. And I called them non-white, white nationalists. And they're like, what do you mean? I call Candace Owens.
I love that.
Candace Owens is a Black white nationalist, in my opinion. These are people, and that's why I said the insidious thing about whiteness and Blackness is they're social concepts. They don't really exist scientifically. They're social concepts. And the idea is you got people who come over here as immigrants who look at us, be they Asians, be they Latinos, be they even some Africans. They look at us and they know they don't want to be part of that group. I ain't going to be like, take Black Latinos from Cuba and Puerto Rico. Yeah, they ain't Black unless they want to make a rap record, and then they might, go ahead and throw it out there. But other than that, they're not trying to be part of Blackness. They quick that I Cuban, I'm not Black. They say that,
Exactly. How they say it, brother?
I Cuban, I'm not Black. I'm no Black. And then think about the Black people that try to escape Blackness. They quick to try to, point out that ancestry is now. Well, we are part Indian. Whatever they can grab hold of to escape that Blackness. And one group people want to talk about real quick.
And the women say, I got Indian in my family.
Yeah. Did y'all ever hear this group of people And I hope nobody's on the show that believes this stuff, but I just really started coming across and really believe these people were dead serious. I couldn't believe they were dead serious. There's a group of African Americans, or they would not call themselves African Americans. They call themselves indigenous people. And they're not saying that they're Native Americans like the natives. They are black people who say that the original people of here were black, and that they are those people. They are not, they have no ancestry to Africa. And if you tell them they have ancestry in Africa, they get upset. And I couldn't believe it was real. You know, I'm trying to intellectualize. It's like, I'm doing the Mr. Spock. I'm like curious, my eyebrow raising. And I realized they were dead serious. But that is, to me, the epitome of internalized self-hatred that you could, I said, well, why don't you just go take the genetic test? Take the genetic test, see where you come from. I'm not going to do that because that's going to be a lie. That you are so deluded and you are so you are so against your blackness that you believe that you don't have any ancestry from Africa, and you won't take a DNA test because you think it's going to be a lie when they tell you from West Africa, Nigeria, Ghana. It sound like the president. Fake news. Fake news. Yeah, fake news. Yeah. But that is just, to me, is the scariest part of that internalized white nationalism, the white supremacy that we do to ourselves. When we get to the point we want to deny everything that we believe is black, and I had never seen it that bad. I mean, that just shocked me,
Let me do this, gentlemen. We got two people that actually just called in. I want to touch it before we get out of here, and then we're gonna close out. So I'm going to these two callers. Y'all be real brief because we only got 4 minutes. I think one of them is Pete. Pete, are you there?
I am. I was trying to catch the question.
No, the topic we're talking about right now is are we all racist to some degree? Are we all racist to some degree? What do you say to that?
I think we do have our opinions and perspectives, and they have been predetermined or subjected and affected through our development in this society. So that's a deep question. Hopefully, we're working on that. But if we're not careful, we do have some issues that we might need to work on. But I'm not prepared to say everybody is. Some of us have a sound grasp of truth and reality, and we're not swayed by any falsehood.
Exactly. And hey, Leonard, I'm your line. Okay, Leonard. I want to say your brother's here, man. He early for next week, though. He early for next week. He a little late for the day, but he early for next week. Donna Tucson.
Man, Tucson, don't start nothing.
It's all good.
Donna, are we all racist to some degree?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You know what? And here's how I'm gonna say it. We suffer from hiccups and sneezes. We don't know how to cure neither one of them.
Okay. With that, we're gonna go around the panel right now and give everybody an opportunity to say what they want to say in their closing. Mary, what would you like to say in your closing? Mary?
I would like to say, have a great night and a better tomorrow.
Good deal. Donald Toussaint, in your closing, sir.
Man, I don't know if we need to get over the past or get used to the future, but let's just try to all be the best we can be.
Good deal.
Probably if we do it one by one, we'll have a better place to live.
Absolutely. Pete, in your closing, Pete.
Know thyself, study yourself again, study yourself a third time, and perfect yourself.
Good deal. Rico, in your closing, sir.
Sometimes you can have a conversation and then people can give you an example of what they were talking about within that conversation. We talked about courage, and then we talked about how people will do other things that sound fear. And we had an example of it when we brought up the topic of the Jews, the quote unquote Jews. And we see the courage that it took, and then we see the response from some that
Exactly. Let's go to Richard in your closing, sir.
Well, first off, brothers, I'm always thankful to be able to be amongst you guys and learn from the wisdom you all have to share. You know, I appreciate the whole conversation. Y'all gonna have to. What I'm going to do, I'm just gonna let y'all know now. Y'all don't inspire me. I'm gonna have to write a historical article, cited and sourced, so that we can finally dead this issue and have some understanding of what the truth is about the Jewish people, the Israelis that are there, their ancestry, because I think that there's some folklore, but there's some actual stuff that I think that we need to understand, so we can actually have that discussion without fear.
Mm-hmm.
But y'all have inspired me, so I might have something for y'all next week.
Good deal.
You know, I'll send it to everybody. All right.
Good deal. Good deal. Don Sherrall, in your closing, sir.
Yes, sir. I think we should all just pray for, the courage. We talked about courage earlier, to stand against racism and pray for changes to take place in our country. And we're thankful for Emerson. We thankful for the younger generation that is trying to pave that way for us. It's just so encouraging to see that happening. And I thank you for the stimulating conversation as well. Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate always being with all of you.
I appreciate you as well, brother. To God be the glory. To God be the glory. Mr. Emerson, in your closing, sir.
Well, as always, it's always good to be here. I feel like I'm an entirely different person on this broadcast here, but I just want to encourage everybody as we go about and continue this week, to not just be, to do, and to do out of who we are, and not of who someone else thinks we are or has instilled in us.
Go ahead and preach. Go ahead, preacher.
Connect to the source.
Pastor, in your closing.
I think that, man, I appreciate tonight for everybody being able to be stretched, to grow, and as always, to come together, strengthen each other as men. And I think that we need to keep looking forward, knowing that this systemic issue is there, and that we need to grow beyond the systemic issue. Racism is something that we need to talk about more and to face more, because we're, especially as Black men, raising up Black sons, we have to be aware of that, and daughters. We have to be aware of that so we can teach them, so they'll know how to navigate in the society. But I think that it's been a great time just to be able to attack these issues.
Leonard, in your closing, sir.
Man, it was good once again to be talking with all of you. And I just wanted to go back and comment off of what you had said earlier. I think we had started off about greatness and being the best. And you ought to be the best because that's what you desire to be.
Mm-hmm.
You ought to be working hard enough to be twice as good as the next man, regardless of his color. Strive for excellence always. That is what you must do, Black or white. You teach people to be the best. You teach kids to be the best, not because of the racism or anything like that. It is because you should be the best. You should strive for that and be strong and courageous, and don't be afraid or terrified because of them. For the Lord your God is with you, and he will never leave you nor forsake you.
Come on. There you go. It was a radio personality. I can't remember who it was. One of y'all might know who it was, but he always said at the end of his show, he said, always shoot for the moon, even if you miss, you're amongst the stars. He said, even if you be amongst
that's our spirit. That's our character, one of excellence.
Mm-hmm.
And we must breathe this back into our children. That they should be striving to be excellent.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't that our people couldn't do anything, because they were at the gates knocking with excellence. They brought excellence over the bridge. They brought excellence to the polls. They were excellent at what they were. They were the best doctors, lawyers, teachers, and everything.
Leonard, we gotta go, man.
Excellence used to be who we were. Let's get back to that.
Leonard, we gotta go, man.
You know, ask Rashid. He say, I don't care.
I got 5 in the offering tray. Who next?
There you go. Exactly.
I thought you was going to 5.
Shit, I got 5, and and I match your 5 and I'll raise your 5. However they said it in the program. Yes, sir. She in your closing.
Leonard, he came like I thought Toussaint was gonna come. You said closing. He was just he just had an opening. let Toussaint came through the front door straight to the backyard.
Boy, you crazy, right?
My man Donald Toussaint is on CP time. Now, is that racist? I don't know.
That's racist, brother. That's racist, brother.
Is that racist?
Yeah.
Or that bias? Is it bias or racist?
No. That's racist, bro. That's racist. Look at Pastor trying to hold it back. He can't. Look at it. He can't hold it back.
Head in the door and kept it moving, didn't it?
Exactly.
And by. So listen. I want to bring it all to the Lord. I think Jesus is the answer. We have some wonderful topics today, and it was encouraging today. And I love hearing intelligence, man. It fires me up, man. And it was a whole lot of intelligence on the panel tonight, and it really got me to thinking. I thought it was edifying. And I just want to let all of my brothers and sisters know that regardless of whether you're white, black, or any other race or ethnicity, it's all about God. It's all about Christ, man. And we can excel and succeed through him, regardless of what this country is trying to do to us. So I believe that, man. We have the victory already. It's in Christ Jesus. The victory is already ours. He has overcome the world. You know, death, where is your sting? Huh? Sting, where is your victory?
Lord, my Jesus. Lord, my Jesus.
But God bless y'all, man. Me and Emerson will be back in 2 weeks. I don't know what next week is looking for, but every 2 weeks you will see the kid on the panel.
There you go.
God bless y'all, man. I appreciate all y'all. Love all y'all. Raheem, keep doing what you're doing, brother.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
To God be the glory, brother. We got to get out of here, man. And it's been a good broadcast. And I got a challenge for everybody. Share the broadcast. Share this broadcast tonight. Make sure share it with at least 20 people. Go down your line and find 20 people. All y'all got about 1,999 friends. So pick 20 people and share it with them. Share it with them. In some kind of shape, form, fashion. But listen, man, it's 8 minutes after 10. I got to get out of here, man. I got to go home. My wife waiting on me, man. I ain't got time to fool with y'all. It's been a great podcast, man. I definitely appreciate each and every one of y'all. Thank y'all for doing it, man. Thank y'all for being with us. It is now 10:08. You're about to exit the morning glow, Lord. Real men being men. But before you go, I want you to do me 2 favors, if you will. One, I want you to continue to pray for us because we're certainly praying for each and every one of you. Number 2, why this is real simple. I want you to go out there, find somebody and give them a hug because you never know. It could be the only hug that they get, or it could very well be their last. Love you, and ain't nothing you could do about it. Have a great evening and a better tomorrow. And we shine some of this light of you from real men being men. Take it out there into this wicked and cruel world that we live in, and let your light so shine. Love. Take an opportunity, if you don't mind, give somebody some love. You just might get some love in return. Emerson, pray us out.
All right. Father, we thank you for this time that we have to come before you and to fellowship with all these wonderful brothers and sisters in Christ. We pray that as we continue and as we go on this week, that we continue to walk in faith, walk by faith, walk in you and what you have called for us to be, Lord, that we be before we do, Lord God, that we walk in courage and that we strengthen and edify the people and the communities around us, and that we are being responsible for what we are called to be on this earth, because we know that we don't have long to fulfill that purpose, Lord. So I pray that we are being the lights in the midst of this darkness, and that we continue to show ourselves strong on your behalf. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Have a great night.
Amen.
Love y'all. See, Emerson, you ain't know I was coming at you like that, did you?
I had a feeling.
Yeah, there you go. I'm gonna tell you something, young man. You knocked it out the park, man. Definitely so proud of you, man. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing.
You. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Love you, man.
Love you too. Oh.